This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 353, The One Ingredient Necessary for Achieving Financial Independence, Part 1, by Sam of FinancialSamurai.com. And I am Dan, your host here on Optimal Finance Daily, and this is, of course, where I read to you from some of the best personal finance blogs out there, and hey, maybe you've got some ideas for us. I know you do have some, because we've heard from so many of you. If you do have topic requests, come share them over at oldpodcast.com. And a big thank you to Health IQ for sponsoring today's episode. If you want to save money on life insurance, this is a great way to do it. Health IQ uses science and data to secure special rates on life insurance for health-conscious people. You can learn more and get a free quote at healthiq.com/finance. That's healthiq.com/finance. Now, let's hear today's post as we optimize your life. The One Ingredient Necessary for Achieving Financial Independence, Part 1, by Sam of FinancialSamurai.com. A couple FIRE friends and I, that's FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early, were having some beers the other night when we got to discussing what were the things that most helped us achieve financial independence at a relatively early age. Here were some of the responses. Saving aggressively, investing in stocks and real estate, earning side income, taking risks in our careers, working ungodly long hours, relocating to areas with huge job growth despite the higher cost of living, leveraging the internet, starting a business. All of these things helped me leave the rat race early as well. But the number one thing that drove me, which nobody mentioned, was fear. More specifically, the fear of failure. Let me share some examples to explain what I mean, then perhaps you can share your own in the comments section below. Fear as the greatest motivator. Childhood expectations. My parents told me at an early age that academics was the main way to a better life because I wasn't going to become a professional tennis player. They instilled in me a fear that if I was a C student, I'd only be able to live a C or worse lifestyle. Not only did I fear living a mediocre lifestyle as an adult, I also feared disappointing my parents. I was always getting into trouble as a kid, and each time I did, I saw the shame in their eyes. I finally stopped being a degenerate once I went to college. Throughout my childhood, my parents worked long hours. I especially felt bad for my mother, who didn't particularly enjoy the foreign service work she did. Foreign service work was my father's dream, not my mother's. I remember visiting her one day at the U.S. Embassy in Kuala Lumpur as a surprise. I didn't quite understand what she did, only that she worked in the cultural attaché department. She was always so chipper at work, and her colleagues always sang her praises. It felt like a wonderland to roam around the halls of what seemed like a fortress at the time. When I arrived, she was tidying up the magazines on the coffee table. Instead of working in her own office, my mom worked in the reception area outside of her boss's big office. Oh, I got it now. Maybe foreign service work isn't so great after all. I was 12 years old. She told me how she had sacrificed her dream of becoming a biologist by foregoing a graduate scholarship from Duke University to marry my father. She still had what most would call a great adventure, but I knew deep down she will always wonder what could have been. If my mother was going to give up her professional dreams for her children, I wasn't going to disappoint her. Work. Working in the financial services industry since 1999 always made me paranoid about losing my job. The industry is highly cyclical, which means during down cycles, there are always multiple rounds of layoffs. Without a job, I would feel like a failure, and without a steady paycheck, I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgages on time. The fear of being one of the thousands of people let go during the dot-com bust and the housing crisis led me to work extra long hours in order to add as much value as possible to my firm. Whenever I felt miserable working at 11 p.m. to catch my Asia-based colleagues after getting in before 6 a.m., I always reminded myself of friends who were blown out. Then I'd just gut it through one day at a time. It wasn't until I started listening to the lifestyles of other people working in other industries that I realized how abnormal it was to always be in fear of losing your job. But it was this perpetual fear that made me save 50 to 80% of my paycheck every year, figure out the best way to invest my money, and create outlets to one day have the option to escape from the corporate world. If I was comfortable at work, I'd ironically still be working. Blogging. I enjoy blogging, I really do. Every morning feels like Christmas because it's always so fun to read what other people have to say. However, there's really no good reason to continue publishing 3 times a week anymore. Today's posts reach 100 times as many people as they once did 8 long years ago. But because I publicly made a commitment to write 3 times a week for 10 years in a row, however, I fear being labeled as weak or a failure if I don't follow through. You guys don't know how many times I've wanted to just pass out at midnight but force myself to write a new article until 2:30 a.m. just so I could meet my publishing objective. I have this fear of letting you down, especially those of you who may be going through a difficult time financially. I remember how soothing it was to read and interact with other folks during the financial crisis. For the longest time, I've sent the message to never fail due to a lack of effort because hard work requires no skill. Therefore, if I stop working hard, then I'm just another hypocrite who doesn't follow his own advice. July 1st, 2019 can't come soon enough, so I can relax a little more. To be continued. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled The One Ingredient Necessary for Achieving Financial Independence by Sam of FinancialSamurai.com. And one more time, a big thanks to Health IQ for sponsoring today's episode. You deserve lower rates on life insurance if you pursue a healthy lifestyle. This is something other companies ignore, but not Health IQ. They use science and data to secure special rates on life insurance for health-conscious people, and that includes cyclists, runners, strength trainers, even vegans, and more. Health IQ has researched it. If you frequently exercise with intensity, on average, you have 22% lower cancer risk, 56% lower heart disease risk, and up to 34% lower risk of early death. Now, typical life insurance companies will penalize you for family history, BMI, and other attributes. Yet you don't get rewarded for being active and health conscious. Not cool. So check out Health IQ, where they will reward you with special rates on life insurance for having that healthy lifestyle. You can learn more and get a free quote using our link, healthiq.com/finance. That's healthiq.com/finance. And again, we thank them for sponsoring the show. That's it for episode 353, folks. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in tomorrow's show, where we will continue this post. That's where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Finance Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.